What's going on YouTube? Mike here with I Heart Knives, and in this video we're going to be sharpening the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and K390. And the stone I'm going to be using is the Venev OCB 240 and 400 grit diamond resin bonded. I'm going to start out with the Sharpie and hit both edges just to mark out the bevels. And I'm going to go ahead and start out with the 50 micron side of the Venev. And in the beginning, basically just feeling out the Sharpie line where I need to be with my edge, and concentrating on the base of the bevel near the choil. And you'll see a lot of effort is put on that area near the choil, just because the grind line doesn't go all the way back. There's a little bit there, not enough that it warranted a choil, but I know a lot of guys are, put choils in the Paramilitary 2s and the Para 3, and even the Manixes. A lot of times you'll get a recurve going, so I just took my time and set that back part of the bevel. So just gonna go basically just work down that one side until I got a fine burr, but made sure I got enough that there was a burr, and then flipped to the other side and did the same thing with the other side on the 50 micron. The K390 took really nicely to the stone. It reacted really nicely to the stone. It kept it aggressive enough, but the heat treat on this K390 I think was done pretty well. I know Kurt did testing and he got, I believe, like 63 in that range with Mike's Paramilitary 2 and K390. I'd be willing to bet that mine is probably around the same. But the scratch pattern and everything was really nice on this K390. I thought it was actually going to be a lot more difficult to sharpen than it was. I would say it's like somewhere between maybe like a little bit harder than M390 to sharpen, but not nearly as hard as something like S110V that's or like Maximate, I guess. And then just went back and forth, went from one side to the other, and then lightened my pressure up deeper a little bit. It took probably about maybe 10 minutes on the first side. I believe my whole process was probably about 45 to 50 minutes. And then I condensed it down for you guys, but it was about a 45-minute sharpening, and I just listened to a podcast and took my time with it, and it paid off. I would say for any of you guys doing freehand sharpening or wanting to get into freehand sharpening, anybody who's a veteran already knows this. Make sure you have some time to do it. If you're in a hurry, your edge is probably not going to come out good. So next we go to the 20 micron side, and then it's 20 by 14. So it's like the biggest micron is 20 and the smallest micron would be 14. It's not exactly, it's not like exactly 16 micron or exactly 18 micron. It's, somewhere between 20 and 14, because the diamond pieces are not exactly the same. And then the 50 micron side, I believe it's 50 is the biggest and 40 is the smallest. So in terms of grit, 20 and 14 is somewhere like 700 to 1200 grit, I think. 16 micron is 1000, so it's like just under 1000 and just over 1000 would be the micron equivalents. And then 1540 would obviously be much more aggressive. You're talking probably like 200 to 400 or something like that, maybe even a little bit more aggressive. And the 20 20 to 14 micron side, the red side, the tactile feel and feedback was really, really nice. I knew exactly when I was where I was supposed to be. Like, I knew when I was hitting the apex, and I knew when I was hitting behind the apex. Some stones, can be much more difficult. You have to listen more to it, or you have to like really, really pay attention to feel it, especially with tougher steels. It could be more difficult to get that tactile feedback. With simple steels, if you're on like a soaking stone, it's much more easy to feel it. But if you're sharpening something like Maximet or K390, it can be difficult to feel it. S110V I find really difficult to get good tactile feedback. And diamonds in general are not great at tactile feedback, but these bonded diamonds give you like that happy medium between plate diamond, like a DMT or an Atoma, and like a traditional soaking stone or ceramic stone, or they basically like give you that in between where you get good feedback, but you also get fast cutting, and you can do super steels fairly easily. So going to the 20 to 14 micron, it went much quicker than the 50. Establishing that burr and getting the apex correct in the beginning made for easier refinement later on. And then stropping, I go to 16 micron bark rubber CBN emulsion, and I loaded it on some cowhide, and then I did let it dry for a little bit. Obviously I cut the sequence out, but coming right off the stones, this edge was sharp. It was cutting paper towel right off the stones. So just stropping on the 16 micron, deburring as much as I can, and I'm using the Sharpie with it. I did film my Spidey Chef sharpening and this sharpening together back to back, so I was still in that. If you watch the Spidey Chef video, I talked about how I talked with Nick from Stasa 23 a couple days before this, and how with his accident it took him and is taking him a lot more time with freehand sharpening to get that muscle memory back. So this was part of that, trying to help him with the Sharpie, and everybody. It helps me too. But using the Sharpie will give you that visual aid until you have that muscle memory back, in Nick's case, or if you're new, until you build that muscle memory. So then we go to 3 micron, and this is Richmond diamond emulsion, and Matt Baker, I believe, just ordered this. The day that I'm doing the voiceover for this is actually the day that I talked to Matt, and he just ordered that from Chef Knives to Go. So I think he got that and 1 micron Richmond spray, which for budget you really can't beat those. So it's cutting the paper towel easier. Sorry I was out of frame with some of these guys. I don't have my monitor hooked up or anything with this, so I was kind of doing it blind, and then checking. So next we go to 2 micron Ken Schwartz CBN emulsion, and it's on horsehide, and the 3 micron was also on horsehide. I forgot to say that. They're both on horsehide. So I put about 4 or 5 drops of the Ken Schwartz CBN emulsion on, and then just spread it around. And I didn't wear a glove for this, but I did wash my hands in between, so I didn't get any grit contamination, and I did wipe the blade off, and so for any of you guys who are worried about grit contamination, I took care of that. I just didn't bring you guys along for it, just because it takes so much time. And then I did let it dry for a little bit too, before I started stropping. So So just continue the stropping and refining that apex, refining the bevel behind the apex, just getting a good polish. And the 2 micron CBN emulsion never fails. It always gives a really nice polish no matter what the steel is, whether it's white number 2 or VG10 or K390, Maximet, CBN and diamond cut everything, but the Schwartz CBN, for whatever reason, it gives a really, really bright polish, better than any other emulsions I've ever used. And you can see on the paper towel, it's cutting really well. And then to finish it off, I just used bare Kangaroo, and there's no emulsion or spray on it. And I go to the flesh side first, and that just kind of gets any micro burr off, if there is any left. At the point of cutting on paper towel, you can learn a lot with the edge. Paper towel and toilet paper cut tests will teach you a lot. Paper cut tests will too, depending on the paper. But you can see snags. And if you do the 3-finger Murray Carter 3-finger test, you can sometimes, it depends how sensitive your fingers are, but you can feel for to feel where your apex is at. But getting those long cuts in the paper towel that I'm getting, that shows that the apex is pretty clean. That's it, guys. That's the Sharpening the PM2. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and please hit the bell so you get notifications and you'll know when I post videos. Leave a comment. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, or go ahead and email me at iheartknives@yahoo.com. And I appreciate all you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.